Black Georgia Republican, wants us to focus on nice slaveholder, the nice white men that owned black people, according to him. Let's go ahead and put up his picture full mass here. His name is Barrington Martin II, a former congressional candidate, Georgia District 5, that is the late John Lewis's district. He tweeted a thread defending good slaveholders. Here are the tweets in question. Let us analyze. Barrington Martin II wrote, "We hear about all the horror of slavery, automatically assuming that all slave owners were hateful, vengeful, and sought to afflict their slaves with fear. But it's funny, we never hear about those other slave owners who led with kindness and wanted their slaves to be in the best shape mentally as well as physically. Why do you think that is?" Let's put Mr. Barrington's picture back up. Sir, you would have made an excellent slave. And I'm not trying to besmirch whatever your goals may be, sir. If you would like to be a slave, go for it. If you would like to have a nice white slave owner as your boss or being a slave as your profession, fine. That's your goal, that's your dream. Martin would cite a 20th century slavery narrative from a person born into enslavement in 1851 named Charles Coles. Coles, when describing his slaveholder, said Mr. Dorsey was a man of excellent reputation and character, was loved by all who knew him, black and white, especially his slaves. He was never known to be harsh or cruel to any of his slaves, of which he had more than 75. Barrington Martin II says there's many accounts like this. I am in no way advocating for slavery, but simply showing there are alternative perspectives that have never been shared. Why is this important? It shows how history is presented in a one-sided fashion and is meant to maintain an agenda. Now let's pause there just for a moment. So first of all, sir, people do talk about this. This is the standard doctrine of the KKK about nice, respectable, reputable slave owners. We talk about this all the time. Unfortunately, you have adopted the narrative of your own historical oppressor. There's more. Others pointed out that Mr. Barrington ignored the other narratives displayed in the work he actually cited. He ignored the rest of the story inside of the work he cited in order to paint a narrative contrary from the sentiment of the summary. Here's how he responded when he was called out. They accepted it. Are you not curious as to why they accepted this as human beings? That's horror to you. In present day terms, they spoke about being slaves matter-of-factly. And some even have positive things to say about it. Does that make Major you the least bit curious? Why? That's an exact quote from him. Franklin Leonard said, did you read the thread you posted? They still include enslaved people talking about being whipped when the situation was appropriate. Them and their parents being bought and sold, being owned by other people. They're not understanding what freedom even was. Is that not horror? People go on to argue about modern day moral compass standards. Barrington Martin II says it was common practice, LOL. You guys fail to understand this. You're imposing a modern day moral compass on a something that was so common. It was amoral. What gets me is that you're also virtuous about it when it's easy to be against slavery today. So easy. Franklin Leonard wrote, I'm not curious about it because in my youth, I was curious about it and then read enough to understand that a system supported by the ownership, buying, and selling of people by other people wasn't any more horror then as it is now. I am flabbergasted. And to Mr. Barrington Martin II, first of all, sir, you're one of the silliest people I have covered in a long time. But I do invite you to come on the bullpen and debate me at any time, based on your point of view. Let's be very clear. Even those who crafted the US Constitution wrote in their personal journals the great evils they were committing by owning human beings. So when you suggest that they were unaware because of the culture, you are antithetical to the truth, dear brother. And I call you brother because I hope one day you will be. Sharon, thoughts here?
Different point of view. That's my first thought, is different point of view. You take, it's Thomas Jefferson, Sally Hemings. Barrington would say love story, I call it rape, okay? And yes, very silly, and that's saying a lot because you also covered Herschel Walker and his ridiculous statements. Yep. And I think Barrington should perhaps head over to Herschel's for a cookout, enjoy some raisins in the potato salad and shut it. It is the most ignorant, rambling blog I think I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, now I encourage people, you can tag Mr. Barrington, let him know he has been challenged to come on the bullpen. Now, Mr. Barrington, Barrington Martin II, sir, eat your Wheaties before you come here. But the invitation stands, all right?